This is sort of an unscripted video of me awkwardly talking about I'll only have time to give very brief thoughts on each movie, so my reviews will probably seem too simple or trivial. If anything here interests you, I strongly recommend you give the movie a chance, regardless of whether or not I personally like it. So yeah, consider this the intro because I'm too stupid to think of one right now. Got my film nerd classes here. Let's just get into it. The Kissing Booth is a horrendous teenager high school comedy with some of the worst performances, writing and directing of the year. The premise is the dumbest thing ever, and the two main characters have no romantic chemistry whatsoever. It's a confusing, forgettable horror movie that's basically on the same level as The Kissing Booth in terms of quality, but every scene is like how lazy is that? Who made this? And who cares? Honestly, I can't even remember a single thing about it. A Wrinkle in Time is directed by Ava DuVernay, and it is a colossal mess. It's like the equivalent of getting a blank canvas and just splattering it with a bunch of random colors and paint. Yeah, it's just a mess of a film. Apparently this movie was a financial flop, like yeah, no shit. There's not a single good performance in this movie, and what's sad is that everyone tried so hard, but failed spectacularly. I will say though, it's definitely a bold and ambitious attempt at a children's movie.
How about this one? I call it bold and brash. More like belongs in the trash!
Enjoyable at times, but it's also really stupid. I'll give Steven Spielberg props for trying something new, but Ready Player One is a hollow, bloated, and disappointing spectacle of a movie. On a purely superficial level, I did enjoy the action scenes, but the character writing, the dialogue, and the execution of the story and themes fell completely flat. Extremely passable and formulaic in every sense of the word. If you thought the first Ant-Man was really bland and forgettable, then this one takes it down a notch, and it's even more bland and forgettable. Easily the worst Marvel movie and easily the worst superhero movie I've seen all year. This is a beat by beat replica of the original Ocean's 11. How unoriginal do you have to be to make such an unnecessary, lifeless, soulless, worthless piece of hot garbage? Another Sandra Bullock classic here, Bird Box. The gimmick of the movie is, if you see this creature, then you want to kill yourself. So a movie like this needs to have some rules and some consistency in terms of how the monster works, but nope, it's kind of stupid. No, it's very stupid. And then you get all these people doing the Bird Box challenge, and there's a woman driving a car with blindfolds on. Like, how retarded are you?
One Utah teen attempting to do the challenge while driving with her hat over her head.
I saw this movie at the Vancouver International Film Festival, and I can't say I like it, but I appreciate what it was going for. It felt really magical in a really weird way. Oh yeah, this is a dumb but fun action movie that's set on a train.
Mamma mia, here we go again.
It's number 63. It's a sequel to a movie that I never really watched or cared about. Number 62 is Hotel Transylvania 3. It's exactly what you expect. I absolutely love stop motion animation. I think it's a dying art form and it goes underappreciated a lot of times. But the story that they chose to tell here was very generic. Oh, balls. I need balls. There were a few moments of actual tension, especially during that final heist. The rest of the movie before that is kind of long and pointless. The editing and pacing of scenes felt really awkward at times. And then we got A Quiet Place, which is directed by Jim from The Office, and it starts off fairly promising. It just lost me when the wife decided to get pregnant again with a third child in this world where if you make noise, then you die. Yeah, lots of dumb things like that scattered throughout the movie. And the Solo, a Star Wars story, it looks awful. There's this muddy, dark color palette. It does not look appealing or visually dynamic at all. It's a better version of The Kissing Booth, but still has a lot of those stupid high school cliches and movie tropes. Like when the guy goes, let me explain. And then the girl goes,
No, I should go home.
The actress who plays the main character is really good. It's fine. It was fine. The animation was creative, I guess. Leave No Trace is very uneventful and repetitive throughout. The acting by Ben Foster and Thomasin McKenzie are really good, and I enjoyed the first act. After that, the story just became kind of meandering and aimless. Mom and Dad is a fun zombie infection movie with a really interesting premise. So basically, if you're a parent, you have this urge to kill your kids. It's wild, it's lots of fun, but the movie just ends abruptly, and it's also paced really poorly due to some awkwardly placed flashbacks. Nicolas Cage, though, is amazing as usual. And then we got Deadpool 2. Doesn't have the inventiveness or the freshness of the first one, but it's still kind of a fun time. Emphasis on kind of fun. 49 is Cargo. Martin Freeman is good, and it's well made. Not really much to say other than that. Cam is an interesting mystery thriller about a cam girl whose livelihood is threatened by an exact replica of her. The lead performance and the cinematography is great. There's lots of nice, sexy, sensual lighting. It's a sanitized and over-dramatic portrayal of Freddie Mercury, Queen, and their rise to fame. I love Rami Malek's performance. I love the cinematography. And the Live Aid concert at the end was a joy to watch. I just wish this movie went in more stranger and unconventional directions because, I enjoyed it, but it could have been so much more. Black Panther is a socially aware and politically insightful superhero film that deals with the topics of racism, segregation, black identity, Afrofuturism, and it meshes all these coherent themes so well that it creates okay, no, it's fine, it's good. I'll say this, it's good. Maybe I'll discuss it again in a future video, but I really don't want to watch it again. Yeah, this movie is better than Black Panther. I love the memorable music, the funniness, the wackiness, the awesome animation, and the optimal way to watch this movie is to be in a slightly inebriated state of mind. You Were Never Really Here, which is a realistic and incredibly artistic thriller movie, similar to Taxi Driver and Taken, but is told in Lynn Ramsey's slow-paced art house style. I remember loving Joaquin Phoenix's performance, the cinematography, and the haunting music, but unfortunately this movie just didn't really click with me personally, but I can appreciate it for what it is, and I'll watch it again someday. So the first 10 minutes of this movie are riveting, and I was really excited to see where the story would go. However, despite the exceptional animation, I just didn't connect with the movie as much as I wanted to. Regardless, I'll always support Japanese animated fantasy adventure movies. Underneath all these IPs and superficial online nonsense, there's actually a really sweet and heartfelt story here about friendship, learning not to be selfish, and understanding that sometimes your friends have different goals in life. But there's also a bunch of stupid shit like Ralph trying to make viral memes to make money. Whoever designed and animated Elastigirl is a genius. It's the only documentary I've seen this year, but the story is absurdly fascinating, even though there are a few points where I was kind of bored. It's a really well made and inspirational sports movie that does nothing exceptional, but also nothing awful. I can't say it's a disappointment because it's not bad or even mediocre, but I wish there was a bit more spice to it, like the first one. The Night Comes for Us is an insane, balls to the wall action movie in the vein of movies like The Raid or The Raid 2. It's really over the top, bloody, violent, and shocking, and I really had a good time watching it. The Endless is an ambitious science fiction movie that will leave you thinking long after you watch it. First Reformed is a compelling, slow-paced drama with an excellent performance by Ethan Hawke and an interesting presentation. I do feel like I need to watch it again though to fully understand and appreciate the radical progression of Ethan Hawke's character and also the ending. It's a collection of 6 short films directed by 2 of the best filmmakers alive, the Coen brothers. My favorites were the first one and the 4th one. Number 34 is Maniac, which is actually a 10-episode Netflix series. I don't want to say too much about this show, but it's definitely interesting. It's nothing like I've ever seen before. A visually dynamic and meticulously crafted stop-motion animation film by the one and only Wes Anderson. He has made some of the best movies in the past decade. There are a few characters and subplots that I thought were really unnecessary, and it didn't have that same charm and energy as Fantastic Mr. Fox. Tom Cruise is either crazy, suicidal, or really confident in some sort of afterlife, because every stunt he does is a near-death experience. A really strong debut film with precise cinematography and amazing performances, especially the late Anton Yelchin. The Shallow scene has to be one of the most emotional and powerful scenes of this year. Another really strong debut by actor and now director Bradley Cooper. 8th Grade is hilarious, and it does a good job of depicting how teenagers behave in this current day. Even though it's really hard for me to watch a lot of it without cringing.
You like Rick and Morty too?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes, Morty. Yes, Morty. We gotta get it.
This movie never feels disingenuous or overbearing. Happy as Lazaro is a fantastical drama that deals with themes of capitalism and exploitation. The first half feels kind of aimless, but there's a point in the second half of the movie where the fantasy element kicks in. And from that point on, I was really invested in the story and these characters. Black Mirror, Bandersnatch, it's super inventive, very creative. Will Poulter is amazing. Fionn Whitehead is great. The movie serves as a meta commentary on choose your own adventure stories, and I just had a really fun and mostly satisfying experience. It's one of those rare movies that starts off really slow, boring, and uninteresting, but as it progresses, it just keeps getting better and better until the final 20 minutes becomes easily the most fascinating and mind-blowing sequence of events I've seen all year. And the music, oh man, I love the music. I love it. Private Life is a realistic, depressing drama about a middle-aged married couple desperately trying to have a child. Catherine Hahn finally getting the role of her career. Yeah, I just thought it was really beautiful and bleak at the same time. There's also a lot of hilarious moments of dramatic irony that I liked. American Animals takes a real-life incident and turns it into a tension-filled, stressful heist movie that also blurs the line between fiction and documentary. I thought it was super fun and stylish, but what stands out the most is the acting. Evan Peters' performance is genuinely fascinating. I don't know, I just loved it. Paddington 2 is a warm and welcoming family movie that I guarantee will bring you joy. Usually these family movies tend to be overly goofy or overly sentimental, but Paddington 2 strikes the perfect balance of comedy and heartfelt moments. The set design, cinematography, and the color palette give this movie a storybook feel, which fits the tone perfectly in my opinion. Game night is creative and funny, from the visual gags to the crazy situations to the character interactions. Honestly, it's a really fun time, and for me, it might be endlessly rewatchable. Black Klansman is a thought-provoking movie with a hilarious premise that also deals with racial tension in America. This movie is basically about a black police officer going undercover as a member of the KKK. It just feels like Spike Lee was genuinely passionate about making this movie. The music is amazing and the performances are all great. Topher Grace's portrayal of the Grand Wizard himself is hilarious. Museo is a tense and thrilling heist movie with precise and perfect cinematography. This movie has a playful and energetic style that manages to differentiate itself from so many other generic heist movies. I love the performance by Gael Garcia Bernal. The movie is actually on YouTube Premium, so just get the 1 month free trial watch this movie, and then cancel your subscription. Sorry to Bother You is the weirdest movie I've seen all year. It takes this fairly mundane story about a lower class man climbing the corporate ladder at his company, and it pushes it into absurd, insane, and even sinister directions. Boots Riley has so much to say about modern day capitalism and corporatism, exploitation of workers, and identity. It's extremely creative in its presentation, the music is epic, and each actor gives a wonderful performance, especially Lakeith Stanfield. Number 18 is Avengers Infinity War. Somehow Marvel and the Russo brothers pulled it off, because this is the most ambitious film of the year, and I'm not even exaggerating. It's a heartfelt, unconventional drama about John Callahan, a paralyzed man who's suffering from some extreme alcoholism. The strongest parts of this movie are definitely the character interactions, the dialogue, and the performances. This is everything I want from a coming-of-age movie. It's not over-dramatic or melodramatic, and the story actually goes in unpredictable directions. Charlie Plummer's quiet and understated performance feels very realistic and displays his character's innocence perfectly. Also, the supporting cast is really great too. Yeah, I just love, stuff about horses. Death of Stalin is an absolutely hilarious parody of the post-Stalin era in the Soviet Union, and it is easily the funniest movie of the year. It's about all these corrupt, incompetent politicians. It's just the funniest thing ever. It just makes you realize how ridiculous it all is. I really recommend this one. I love that Under the Silver Lake doesn't offer us a simple narrative, but instead takes us on this psychedelic, confusing journey where everyone is involved in some sort of messed up conspiracy. Logistically, it's something that I know I wouldn't like, but it's edited and shot so superbly, and it's just so out there and insane that I kind of loved it. All the technical aspects are pretty much flawless. The visual effects, the sound design, the set design, the cinematography, the editing, all that stuff is top notch. I even like the performances a lot. A lot of people didn't like the way that Ryan Gosling portrayed his character in the movie because he plays the same expressionless robot, but I think it really works for this character. The Sisters Brothers is a dark western with bits and pieces of comedy. It manages to be simultaneously inspiring and heartbreaking. Without spoiling the movie, I absolutely love the dynamic and the arcs of the four main characters. Jake Gyllenhaal, Joaquin Phoenix, John C. Reilly, and Riz Ahmed do an amazing job here. I also really appreciate the cinematography, the production design, and the musical score. It's a nightmare of a movie and I love it. It's horrifying, it's demonic, it's just messed up. There's a lot of body horror in it, and apparently it was a really controversial movie too, but you can't deny that the filmmaking on display is fantastic. Just the way it looks, just the way the dance scenes are choreographed and shot. All the performances are great too. Everyone does a great job here. Director Alfonso Cuarón, my boy, puts a lot of emphasis on the environments of this world. Lots of wide shots, pans, long takes. Some of these scenes have hundreds of extras. It's really grand in scale to tell the story of a Mexican woman going through something pretty horrible, pretty stressful. It's just so impressive on every level. It's energetic, visually gorgeous, there's lots of style to it. And although it's just a fun popcorn movie, you can tell that the people behind making it really did their absolute best to make both a meaningful and entertaining experience. There's never ever a dull moment. Widows is an exciting heist movie with easily the best ensemble cast of the year. The acting across the board is phenomenal. The camera placement and movements are so carefully thought out in each scene. There's also a political thriller aspect to it. Blindspotting really popped up out of nowhere, but it blew my mind. The relationship and the dynamic between the main actors is amazing. The portrayal of the city of Oakland is refreshing and energetic. The movie is genuinely hilarious, but it's also not scared to pack an emotional punch and to try something completely new. Shoplifters explores what it means to be in a family as we follow the lives of this ragtag family. This movie might have my favorite scene in a movie this year. I don't want to spoil it, but let's just say that it almost brought me to tears. I absolutely love the way this fairly loose story was presented. Listen, if you get easily scared or frightened by anything, then I would not recommend watching Hereditary. But if you love not only being scared, but feeling like you got in the ass by Satan himself, then yes, I would definitely recommend Hereditary. Okay, no, I don't want to hype this movie up. You really have to pay attention to the story to appreciate the true horror, even though the imagery they show here is really terrifying and shocking. Searching is an excellent mystery, thriller, family drama. It's about not truly knowing who your child is, and about how far parents are willing to go to protect their children. It's also a pretty interesting social commentary about how people can live a double life online because of attention or the need for any emotional connection. I love the story and the way the plot revealed itself, but it would not have the same emotional impact if it weren't for the film's authenticity to the technology presented. The whole movie is essentially told on a computer screen, and it's an amazing emotional roller coaster. Burning is a slow but methodical mystery thriller with some excellent performances. Ya boy Steven Yeun gives an excellent performance. Burning doesn't have an obvious answer, but asks the audience to figure out what is going on for themselves. It's a film that I want to rewatch again in the future because there's a lot of political and social themes that are relevant in Korean society that I'm pretty sure I didn't fully understand all of that. Regardless, it's a masterfully executed suspenseful thriller that is both technically impressive and emotionally resonant. Number 2 is The Favorite, which is a stellar period piece from the idiosyncratic director Yorgos Lanthimos, who crafted a wonderful yet tragic story about the struggle to achieve power, also about jealousy and love. Speaking of love, I love Olivia Colman's performance, easily the best actress this year. The rivalry between Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz is fascinating. I absolutely love the cinematography and lighting. It's just really extreme and crazy, and yeah, it's gorgeous. Mwah. It's time to get intimate and close to the mic. Before I get to number 1, I'm going to talk about every movie I didn't see or I saw after making this list. Green Book. I didn't watch it, but it won Best Picture, so whatever. If Beale Street Could Talk. I'll find a way to watch this, I promise. Same for this one too, and this one. They Shall Never Grow Old. I thought the 30-minute behind the scenes video of how they made this documentary was more interesting than the documentary itself. Crazy Rich Asians. It's a flashy and extravagant romantic comedy. I kinda enjoyed it. It's fine. It's also kinda homoerotic. The House That Jack Built. Watch the first 10 minutes on YouTube. It's hilarious. Aquaman. My man Aquaman. Won't You Be My Neighbor? It's my favorite documentary of 2018, I guess. Alright, here we go. Number 1. You guessed it, it's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which is mind-blowingly phenomenal in every single way. The animation is not only gorgeous and beautiful, but it's also inventive and boundary-pushing. The colors alone are just so vivid and vibrant. The friendship mentorship between Miles Morales and Peter Parker was something I didn't expect to be that emotional. Both of them needed each other to become Spider-Man. Miles needed a mentor, and Peter needed to get his life back together. To me, Into the Spider-Verse is a reminder that anyone can become Spider-Man. Anyone can rise to the occasion and do something great. And all it takes is a leap of faith. This video is sponsored by Kaizen Protein Shakes. Okay, we're done now.